If we do not get it right from the beginning, nothing gets better after those stages. To now learn from Mr. Adam Flores. He's been with FlowChat for a long time. He's been doing sales, marketing, and organic sales for way even longer. He's done millions of dollars in sales. Today, we get to hone in on pre-qualifying clients. So with all this being said, Adam, really excited to learn from you today.
Yes, thanks so much for having me here. I love this family. FlowChat is just an incredible tool that has helped us grow and scale. And my goal is to be able to help you guys be able to just get more clarity on things that can move the needle in your business in the area of pre-qualifying. Just share a few minutes of some backstory to give you guys some context. So originally, I was working to fill my calendar with one-on-ones, and thanks to the FlowChat tool, it's allowed me to grow and scale my team of setters to then you get to the next level where you're looking to fill your rooms. And anybody in here do workshops before by chance? Anybody host an online workshop or a challenge or a virtual event of some kind? Yeah, I see a lot of heads nodding. So one of the biggest frustrations when you're trying to run some type of virtual workshop or event is that you get all these people to register, but then sometimes you have low show up. And if they do show up, their cameras are off. They're coming in and out of the rooms, right? And then on top of that, sometimes they're the wrong people. Anybody ever get on a call with the wrong person before where they're just like out of line, right? You're spending all of this time trying to nurture them. And so much time and resources get wasted when they're not the right person. So one of the things that I had to do is I had to learn how to pre-qualify. And what this did is it completely shifted our business. And here's how. We started to get 90% show up rates on our workshops, which is amazing. And we started to see 30% conversion rates on the back end, which is some of the highest in the coaching consulting space. And the way we do this is through our pre-qualification strategy. So I want to be able to share that with you guys today for those of you who are using FlowChat to fill your workshops. And then I'm also going to share our pre-qualification for one-on-ones for those of you who might just be setting up one-on-one calls. Because here's what I desire for each of you. I desire for you guys to be able to jump on calls with people who are excited to learn what it is that you have to offer and that they're aligned. Because how many of you guys have ever had somebody who was maybe a great fit as a client perspective, but they didn't share the same values as you or your community? And so it's off. I'll give you an example. We had a lady in our that tried to get into our event, and she did witchcraft and tarot cards, right? So I was like, oh no, our VA didn't know that she was into these kinds of things, right? And that just doesn't align with some of the values that we have in our community. So luckily, because of our pre-qualification process, we're able to keep our room safe. We're able to find that and politely say, hey, unfortunately, this isn't the right fit. And without being able to have the pre-qualification, sometimes you can end up attracting the wrong clients. Sometimes they're looky-loos and they're not looking to buy anything, right? They're just trying to see what you got. Then you end up with all of this time wasted, and your time is the most valuable thing. But the right pre-qualification can get somebody excited to buy from you. They're excited to learn. It builds an appetite. They're able to have the right expectations, and that's what I want to be able to share. Exactly, Sean, right? Getting the right people in the room that have your heartbeat. Like, we like to attract high character, high quality, high integrity kind of people. That's the kind of community, heart-centered, that really care about people, right? That's the kind of person we want to attract. So what I want to be able to do is share with you first how we pre-qualify on a workshop level if you're wanting to fill a workshop, and then I'll talk about how we pre-qualify if you're doing a one-on-one meeting. Sound good? You guys ready? Type yes in the chat if you guys are with me, if you guys are ready to dive in. All right, here we go. All right, cool. So one of the things that we do is when somebody wants to sit in on one of our workshops or events that we're running, we call it the gate. We have them on the next page of, so most of the time when you register for a virtual event or a workshop of some kind, what do you see on that page, right? You see name, email, and then once you put in your name and email to register for that workshop, it takes you to a confirmation page that says, great, you've now been granted access to this workshop. Here is your Zoom link to attend to come to this event. And now everybody gets access to your room. Is that safe for the people coming? Not necessarily. Right? Because as you're using FlowChat and getting a lot of messages out, sometimes you can't always control who is opting in, right? Especially if you have VAs that are working for you. So what we do is we have an extra step. When they put their name and email to register for one of our workshops, it takes them to a page that says, hey, your registration is not complete just yet. We ask that you book a quick chat with our team so that we can have an alignment call to make sure this is a fit. And that step changed the game for us, because now we were able to jump on a 10-minute chat with them to understand who they are, what they're looking for. And I want to give you an example of what we say on this call, because if you're ever filling workshops, this is game changing. So when somebody comes onto that call, we thank them. Hey, thanks for coming on. Just out of curiosity, we have our event on this topic. Are you excited to learn this topic? Right? We want them to know, are they actually excited to learn what it is that we're teaching? So then they go, yes, I'm excited to learn it. Great. Hey, are you available on these days and times to show up both days with camera on? And that is a very powerful question, because how many times have you guys ever, those who run workshops, people come to your events and their cameras are off and they're coming in and out. It's hard to make impact if you can't keep attention, right? People walking around with their cell phones, and you got toilets flushing in the background on the Zoom call. You got babies crying, all these things going on because they're not paying attention. So we like to be able to ask them, hey, are you free to show up both days with your camera on? So we get that commitment. Yes, great. Now, with that, we have a few questions for you, right? We want to be able to learn more about you. Tell us more about what you do. What we're looking for is we're asking the questions to see if they are qualified, right? In our business, we want someone to already have experience in coaching or consulting before sitting in our rooms, because we're teaching at a high level. We don't want someone coming into our room asking what a landing page is. Does that make sense? They're not qualified for that. So we're asking the questions that we would want to see in somebody when they're coming into our room. So what is it that you do? How long have you been doing it? Tell me why you feel like this would be a good fit for where you're at in your journey. Great. So one of the things that we do is the heart. So once we determine that they are committed to the time and the day to show up, we know that they're clear on our topic and what we're teaching. They have committed to show up with their camera on, right? We now have a qualified person that is going to be able to show up into that room. And so we ask for their commitment, and we get a 90% show up rate for the people that say they're going to be at our event on our pre-interview calls and that actually come to the actual workshop, okay, which is very high. And so when you come to our events, some of you guys have been in our events that are here in this room, cameras are on, right? It's amazing. It's an incredible environment, which is important if you are teaching for coaching or consulting, right? To be able to have that attention. Now, we do something that changed our business forever. And this is something that has been unique, that has been game-changing, that I recommend all of you do if you're running any kind of workshop or sending out a demo or a training of some kind. So what we do is we book a feedback call within 72 hours that the event is over. And so we let the client know, hey, we're going to be going an overview over our program, but we want to be able to book a feedback call with you. So that way, if you have any questions about further mentorship or about services we offer, you can be able to ask them at that time. Because what is the greatest challenge of somebody running a workshop or a virtual event? Because they run challenges or anything like that, and you're using FlowChat to fill your rooms. What is the biggest challenge? The biggest challenge is that you have to now chase people to apply for your program, right? You're dropping the application link, hoping they book a call with you for follow-up, right? You just got done presenting for that hour or 2 days or however long your event is, 5-day challenge. And now you're having to chase people to apply. So we don't have to chase anyone because our feedback call is already booked. So however many registrations we have is how many feedback calls we have booked. And so they give us feedback on the event, and that's their time to also ask about further mentorship and services that we provide, right? So if we have 50 registrations, we're going to have 90% show up, which is about 45 attendees, and we'll have 45 feedback calls of highly qualified, vetted people. You with me on that? So that right there is so game changing. Natasha she said, when I use this approach, the quality of attendees was significantly higher. They enjoy one another. Yes. And the attendance was higher. Up levels the whole experience. 100%, Natasha. It is a game changer. So that is, if you're running virtual events, I recommend having some form of a gate. Now, if you are not wanting to jump on a pre-interview call, here is another way to qualify. When they fill out the opt-in to come to your workshop, it'll take them to an application page. And on the application page, you will ask them questions that you would consider a qualified prospect. And then you get to review each application and then send them the Zoom link after you've reviewed their app. So that way you can make sure that they are a fit. And what's cool about this is you get to know all of the pain points of where they're at, where they want to go, what they're most interested in learning, their phone number, their email. So if they don't show up to the workshop, guess what you get to do? You get to follow up with them, which is really cool. And you already know what they want to work on and what their goals are and what they want to accomplish. And if they do show up, then they're already qualified, right? And the people who are not qualified, you can softly deny with an email. So those are what we call the gates. And we like to be able to keep a strong gate within our community to attract the right people, the right clients, and be able to make impact with the people that we're leading. So that is on the event side. So before I go any further into one-on-ones and qualifying that way, do you guys have any questions so far on how we gate or qualify for our virtual events?
I think I'll just also add to the idea. And so Steve's got a question there, but I'd say one thing that you also got to remember, guys, doing it this way, and Adam is really good at this strategy. This is his bread or butter. When you do it this way, you get retention with your clients for a longer period of time. They want to stay with you for a longer period of time. So have you seen that number boost as well when you switch this, right, Adam?
We have some of the highest renewal rates that I'm aware of in coaching. I mean, we had some months as high as 80% renewal after 6 months, which is really high in the coaching space. Yeah. So you get more of that long-term client when there's more of, you set the right expectations up front and they're aligned with what you're teaching and they're clear on why it matters and how it's going to help them. They show up differently. Because how many of us come to webinars where our arms are folded or we're fast forwarding the video on our phone to just get to the end of the webinar where the offer is? Because we don't really know if what they're offering is relevant to us. We're not really sure if we can trust that person or what they're about. And so we're very skeptical watching online presentations because we've been set up to be sold so many times, right? And a lot of times they give us the what, but not the how. And we're tired of getting on things where there's not a lot of value, but a lot of high level concepts. So we come into these environments very skeptical. So when we're able to have that pre-interview, it brings down the walls and lets them know, hey, you're in the right place. This is a safe place to learn, to grow, to be able to get valuable strategies on this topic that's going to help you accelerate and grow to the next level. And so it brings down that wall and puts up their expectation of like, okay, great. I'm actually excited to show up to this because I'm clear on what I'm showing up to, right? And so that's been a game changer for us, for sure. So there's a couple questions in the chat. When do you offer this feedback call? So it's a requirement to show up to our events. So we say, look, in order to show up to our events, we ask that you have your feedback call scheduled. So on the pre-interview call, we book the feedback call, right? Within 72 hours of the event ending. So it's already booked on that pre-interview. Great question. All right, cool. So if you guys are running virtual events and you guys integrate a gate, you guys will be so happy when you have the right people in the room. It'll create such a stronger chemistry and it'll be amazing. Now, if you are doing one-on-ones, how many of you guys in here sell through one-on-one coaching or consulting or services that you sell one-on-one and you're using FlowChat for that? All right, type in the chat for that. Cool. I see Tessie says she is. Anyone else doing one-on-one calls? Cool. Kareen says yes. Ian says yes. Terrific. Yes. Lorenzo, yes. Sean, yep. All right, cool. All right. So when we're qualifying for one-on-one calls, one of the things that I see as a big mistake, and I used to do in my earlier days, is I used to book out 30-minute sessions to 45-minute sessions for people to book in my calendar, right? So what happens when we open up that kind of time for a new person coming in? Anybody offer 30 to 40-minute sessions as intro calls? Anybody do that? Right? You spend 30, I see a couple heads nodding. Yeah. So I used to do that. And the challenge with doing that is that one is if they don't show up, you just lost 30 to 45 minutes of your day, right? That's a big loss of time. The second thing is if they're not the right person, sometimes you're spending 30 to 45 minutes of your time and energy and they're not the right person, right? So one of the things that we did is we shortened up our invites to 15-minute calls. And what these 15-minute calls allowed us to do is it allowed us to, if there was a no-show, we can get on the next call 15 minutes later. But also, if there is a show, we don't have to spend our time 30 minutes to 45 minutes with somebody who may not be qualified. We're just looking to take those 15 minutes to determine whether they are qualified, right? So here are a couple questions we ask on that call. Number one, we want to be able to know, we want to build some rapport, but get to know what is the specific goal in relation to how we can help them, right? So if you help people get more leads, for example, then what is their goal in lead flow? What do they want to accomplish? Then we want to know where they're at. Where are you at currently? And what are you struggling with, right? Once we know that gap of where they want to go and where the struggle is and how we can help them, then we can be able to ask them about what their commitment level is like and what are they willing to, where they're at in their life for business or career, so that we can get a gauge on what level they're willing to invest at, right? So now we get to book the follow-up call where we can determine, hey, it seems like we can help you. On our next call, let us draw out that plan on how we can help you reach that goal. And if we can't help you, then we, at that time, dismiss ourselves from the call so that we can save our time and their time from continuing and dragging on a relationship that may not make a lot of sense, right? So what we want to do is we want to be able to lead people into those calls. And what we found is that our conversions are higher having people book a 15-minute call than booking a 30 or 45-minute call, trying to just do the sale on the first call, right? So by this time, we've developed a relationship, strong rapport, developed the need, create the curiosity, build an appetite on that 15-minute pre-check call. And then we book the actual call where we can have a full 45 minutes to an hour or however much time you need to be able to lead them into the actual offer, right? So these can be booking like demos, 15-minute discovery calls, 15-minute strategy calls, just to be able to promote something quick that people can jump on and say yes to and raise their hand and say, yes, I want to jump on that call, right? So those are how we pre-qualify for our workshops. And that is also how we pre-qualify for our one-on-one. And so if you guys want, we can also talk about how we pre-qualify prospects using FlowChat as well, like in the DMs. And then that way you guys can have all of your pre-qualification metrics ready to go. But before we do that, before we go on to our prospecting criteria for DMing, do you guys have any questions on pre-qualifying for one-on-one calls? Questions on that?
So when you're in your 15-minute call and you're setting your second call, how long does the second call usually go?
Second call, we usually book for 45 minutes, partly because we're selling something that's premium, right? Offers between 5 and 25K in that range. So we need to make sure that we have time to be able to get them clarity and that trust is transferred and that they're clear. So that takes time. The lower the value is, like you're selling something for like 1,000 or 2K, that call can be 30 minutes, right? Really short.